Hey, there we go. We're recording. It's official. I wonder if I can prop you guys up here. Oh, you still can't see everybody. I'll kind of turn the laptop and face everybody since this is a hybrid class. So this is our first inner work book club, and I'd like to start just going around and saying our names and like why we want to read this book or how you found out about it. And I think I'll start with the friends on Zoom intros if y'all are okay with that. Does anybody want to go first on Zoom? Cindy?
I'll go.
Okay.
Excuse me. My name is Cindy, and I found this book through Melissa. And the reason I wanted to do it is because I got some problems. I gotta straighten some stuff out in my head.
You're in
I'm
the right
my
place.
own worst enemy at times.
We're glad you're here. Thanks, Cindy. All right, who wants to go next? Debbie? Deb, and Debbie.
Hi, I'm Deb Reverine. I'm from snowy again, Minnesota. uh, um, I found out about the book from Melissa, and I usually always do book clubs. I follow Melissa around with the book clubs. So, and every time she's never steered me wrong. So I'm looking for some more self-development, which is always necessary. So thank you for the invite.
Yay, glad you're here. Jennifer, you want to go next?
Sure. I'm Jennifer Brindley, and I am just on a continuation of a journey that a continuation of a journey that I started several years ago. And so when you posted that this was going to be the next book, I looked at what it's about, and it's right up my alley. So
Cool. Perfect. Thank you. Glad you're here. Kylan, your turn. Oh, you're muted, love. Kylan, you're muted still.
Okay.
There you
I
go.
think I got, am I good now?
You're good now.
Yeah. Yeah, I just like, there's just some blocks that I want to try and clear. I don't want to speak anything negative over myself, but like, I just want to clear out some like stagnation. So I figured this would be a good book to read.
Yeah, perfect. Glad you're here. Hey, Chelsea, come join us. And looks like Karen just hopped on too. Karen, we're just going around saying our name and why we want to read this book. Do you want to go next, or do you want a second to get set up?
Yeah, give me just a second.
I see you trying to work out your camera. All right, we'll go around in person then, and we'll do in-person introductions. You want to start here?
I will. Hi, I'm Amber. Yeah, I was in Melissa and Kristen's last book club, and it did wonders for me. And so I definitely trusted her opinion on this one. I'm a yogi, so I definitely follow and try to live by the eight limbs. And I kind of read into a little bit of this book, and that's exactly what I try to live for. So I was really interested in it, growing, expanding, and keep learning. So here I am.
Yay, so glad you're here.
Me too.
Thank you.
I'm Rhett. I'm here. Amber made me. No, I'm kidding. I'm doing outer work right now, and so I figured the inner work would go hand in hand. And excited to. I had a great time in the last book club, so I'm really excited for this one as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Brett.
I'm John. Heard about this from Amber from yoga. Just got into the yogi lifestyle or
Yeah.
life, I guess, and inner engineering with Sadhguru kind of goes along with this. So it'd be good to do something in person.
Awesome. Thank you. Chelsea.
Hi, I'm Chelsea. Yeah, just definitely wanted to work on myself and work on those limiting beliefs and overcoming, like rising above the challenges and stop repeating the patterns.
That's awesome. Very good.
That was good.
Can y'all hear her okay too? Yeah? Good. Awesome. Okay. There's Kristen back there.
It's Kristen. Melissa obviously told me about the book here, but I really want to focus on overcoming some codependent behaviors that have been kind of patterns in my life and just work on finding true happiness. And I know that that's what this book will help with.
Love
So I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. I love how on the back of the book it says, if you're human and you want to be happy, this book is for you.
Happiness.
So good. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm Josh. Similarly, Kristen, well, she said that I was broken and this book would fix me, so I'm just along for the ride. No, I just, always open to peeling back layers of the onion to figure out what's going on in here, because I know the concept of your external world is a reflection of your internal. And in some of my external, I'm not happy or fulfilled, and so I want to work on the internal.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Sounds right on. And then Karen, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Karen Noss. I found out about the book from you. And I guess I had a chance to read a little when I was on retreat, and it just kind of reflected things that I like to think about and process kind of deeply. Yeah, I like to go deep, and this is a deep book, so I'm excited.
Thank you. Yeah, Karen came too. We had a weekend retreat at my house this past weekend, and Karen, I think, read the whole section during the retreat. She's like, I'm in, let's go. All right, so these book clubs, I do them all differently. The last book club, we actually sat and read the book in person together, but I feel like that was creating money, and creating money is just affirmation after affirmation. So that one's really powerful to read out loud. With this book club, we're reading on our own and then coming together to discuss. So today we're discussing section 1, and I don't know if you guys saw this. I'm trying to find where it is in the very beginning. Did y'all see this QR code in like the introduction part? So yeah, so if you scan the QR code in the beginning of the book, it's right after the trigger warning.
Yeah.
They have I found this book on TikTok. It's a yoga couple, Matt and Ash, and they have a lot of really good videos on TikTok if you like that kind of thing. But then if you scan this, they'll email you kind of a breakdown of like, okay, today read for 10 minutes, do this yoga practice, and listen to this podcast. So anyway, the Scan Me here at the beginning is just extra if you guys want to do more. There's also a Facebook group that they have. So just lots and lots of support for this book. The other thing I really liked in the beginning of the book, before it's in the dedication part, I love how they dedicate this book to the divine creator that is the source of all that is, and all the teachers along the way. And then it lists Jesus and Buddha, and Ram Dass is on here, which I think is awesome, and Eckhart Tolle. Has anybody ever read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle?
Started.
That's a really good one. It's kind of hard to, for me anyway, it was hard to digest. Like I'd have to read it and really think about it. So that's kind of the beginning breakdown of this book. And then we did 3 chapters for this section: the introduction to the inner work, compassion for ourselves and others along the journey, and the human plight. I'm curious, did anybody highlight or tag any of the quotes while you were reading?
I didn't, only because I didn't have accessible, but I wanted to. I
Yeah,
took a lot of mental notes,
yeah,
especially because my meditations, a lot of this is kind of what I use.
yeah. Yeah, there was one part that said, maybe I can find the exact wording, but it said that this is a contemplative lifestyle. Like this book is a lifestyle to contemplate versus something to like get through or memorize.
One of the parts that stood out to me was perhaps the mind can function both involuntary as well as willfully.
Yeah.
What page is that?
I think that was the
59.
third
the end.
chapter, right?
Yeah.
Page 9.
59.
59. I want to look at that again.
Yeah, that's one of those I made a mental note on.
Yeah, that's where it got kind of deep for me. I was
Yeah.
like, whoa.
Melissa?
Yeah,
Stop and think, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead, Deb.
I was just gonna say the one that they have like the little excerpts in there right before the reading.
Yeah.
And for me right now, it's nobody can hurt me without my permission. And that's huge for me right now. So
What page was that?
page 13 at the bottom for finding happiness. Nobody can hurt me without my permission.
I love that. Anybody else have a favorite quote?
Mine was on page 24. It says, "You will never be free until you free yourself from the prison of your own false thoughts."
Ooh, that's a good one.
I also love the whole list on 23 to 24. I just think that's a great contemplative practice in and of itself to just read those and let those sink in. Like the I am pure, I'm innocent, I'm
Yeah.
already worthy. I just think that was powerful.
Our pages are slightly different.
Yeah.
Oh, ours is different too.
I
Yeah,
think we're on the same one now.
I like that too, Karen.
yeah. Yeah, I liked how at the end it asked if like any of those made you uncomfortable or like you were resistant
yeah,
to any. Did y'all have any that you were resistant to?
There was one that I kept like kind of repeating to myself without me noticing it.
Oh,
I know, and at the end, when I read that at the very end, I was like, huh, go figure.
yeah.
Yeah.
I have no enemies stood out. I was like, I think I may have a couple.
So I actually got hung up on that one too. Personally, I was like, Ara, do I have enemies?
Mine was the best case scenario. I expect the best case scenario. Like read that like 3 times in my
Ooh,
head, just
I
not even
expect-
realizing I did it.
That's
And
good.
so at the end, when I read that little paragraph, I was like, huh. Well, that's the one that obviously I kept going back to.
Yeah.
That one, yeah. Can I chime in?
Yeah.
On page 16 at the top, like I highlighted the whole second half of that. Because it's about like chasing something rather than like being happy in the space you are. It says, but rather happiness is something we become through transformation of our consciousness. The desire to get someplace else will only keep us stuck in a perpetual cycle of wanting happiness rather than actualizing it. And I was like, oh, that's what's wrong with the world, because everything's so goal oriented, not
is.
like achieve happiness where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
My page 16 is this lovely
Yeah,
chart.
me too. Me too.
We must have different
Yeah.
editions edited.
It looks like there's I think they released one in 2022 from what I was reading.
I definitely bought this over a year ago, and I've been waiting.
I bought ours used, so.
So yeah,
It would be two
So this
pages
is the
before
updated
that.
revision.
2 pages
2022.
before that. You think?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
14.
Yours may be.
Well,
yours is the same
speaking
one.
of charts, the chart on the next page, which is 18 for me, that like spectrum, what they call it, spectrum of consciousness.
Themes of consciousness.
Oh,
Yeah.
ours says.
No,
oh,
this one, the circle
Oh,
one.
okay.
Yeah, go one more. Yeah, that one.
Okay.
I thought that was so interesting. And Kristen and I were wondering if we could maybe find a blank one and try to like fill them out on our own and look at them together. But I thought that one was really interesting to see it in a spectrum like that.
Yeah, I don't fully understand it, but
Well, they referenced it in another page too.
Yeah.
And I had to my brain had to like figure that out. Like, oh yeah.
So to me, it looks like you look at each piece of the pie. So you could look at the insecurity piece of the pie.
okay.
And then the 0 is you never feel insecurity. 1 is rarely, 2 is sometimes, 3 is often, and 4 is consistently. And then you would color in the number up to that number. So on this drawing, they have insecurity as a 3, but then they have overwhelm at a 0, which I'm like, who is this person?
Oh, yours
Right.
is filled out.
Yeah,
have a
yeah,
Oh,
your
yeah.
your overwhelm's empty too.
Yeah.
So I thought that chart was fascinating to look at. Like this, they rarely feel ease, and they rarely feel self-motivation.
Heavily feel loss.
The lost one's all the way colored in.
I bet we could find a blank one somewhere.
I bet we could. I mean, we could probably even draw it if we have to.
I mean, it's almost
Oh
so
yeah, it might
light
be.
that you can just do it yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go over it.
I had another quote that I took a picture of. Let me see if I can find it from this morning.
I love all the quotes.
I know,
I
me
love all the
too.
scriptures. I love all the references to everything. The
Mhm.
Bhagavad Gita, all of it.
Here it is. The inner work is a contemplative lifestyle approach, not something to attain or a destination to arrive at.
Yeah.
I really liked that one.
I have one.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's my page 48, so I don't know what that would be for y'all. It
46.
says, this is the real secret of life, to be completely engaged in what you are doing in the here and now, and instead of calling it work, realize it is play.
Alan Watts.
Yeah.
So it looks like our books are 2 pages
Yeah.
different. Yeah, that's fine.
Nice.
Throughout the section we read, I keep coming upon the phrase "doing the task for the task's sake," and then something in that for me to kind of meditate on and go a little deeper with. But that's something that was like in different places that just kept popping up for me. Is that phrase?
Thank you for sharing. Here's another one I took a picture of. I'm sorry, I don't have the page number, which is really inconvenient. But it's a paragraph. The most important realization of the inner work is that the source of our dissatisfaction is the mind's internal dialogue, not the subject of its complaints. Change is terrifying to the untamed mind. Even when exposed to true happiness through witnessing in others, it will reject it outright through denial or projection. Most minds are actually very suspicious of someone emulating genuine innocence, unconditional love, and inner peace. Seeing someone else shine their light unapologetically can really trigger an insecure mind. I read that like 3 or 4 times. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. In the 3rd chapter.
So although it is happiness and freedom you're
31
seeking, 31.
Oh, is it 31?
Okay, cool. 31. It is crucial to recognize that even while you are yearning to elevate yourself, there is still a huge part of you, the ego. And then it started talking about the ego versus like the soul. Different. Was that a new concept for anybody? Like your ego being separate?
No, I mean, did you read Untethered Soul?
No.
That whole 3rd chapter reminded me of Untethered Soul. And it has a lot of the same references, like the self and
okay.
ego. And so it really reminded me of Untethered Soul.
I have that book and journal.
Count me in.
All right.
It's great. It really is.
Next book club.
That one is intense. And
The
it's all about stepping away.
Yeah.
The roommate, firing the roommate, kicking the inner voice out of the head.
Cool. That sounds like a good one.
I saw some Eckhart Tolle. I can't remember what it was. I think it was with Oprah, and he spent the whole time talking about ego. So it taught me a lot about what ego is. And I'm constantly battling. I guess we all do, really. Yeah. It's like trying to like shut that down is really hard. And he's like the ultimate expert at it. He's so dry, but inside he's like overjoyed, but he's like just very like unemotional.
Monotone.
Just super unemotional.
Was that ego part in here the same part where it asked us to meditate for 5 minutes?
Yes.
I believe so, yes.
Okay, perfect, because we're gonna do that. And it's probably gonna feel uncomfortable. Is anybody brand new to meditating? No. Okay, great. So, what page is that on?
I just passed it.
56 for me.
So 54. Doing math in the book club. Okay, so I'm just going to read this little section and then we're going to do this is the self-inquiry on page 54 or 56, depending on your book. The great philosopher Socrates urged humanity to examine one's life to the point of even suggesting that it is not worth living otherwise. If we are to truly live, we must question the nature of our own thoughts and emotions. Let's give this examination a try now. After reading these next few sentences, make an attempt to consciously quiet the inner chatter of your mind. Give yourself at least 5 minutes of complete inner silence. You can keep your eyes open or you can close them, but see if you can allow yourself to sit in complete silence without the mind interrupting you with thinking. You can even set a timer, which I will set a timer for us. This exercise will help you understand the nature of your mind and serve as an asset in your inner work progression. Go ahead and try this now. Sit still and see if you can quiet the thoughts in your mind for 5 minutes. Any questions? I'm going to pull up my Insight timer. So there's just a tiny bit of noise. Okay.
There's a guy taking a picture outside
Oh, yeah.
of your place. That's interesting.
No thoughts. Anyway.
Sorry.
A little hum was the end of the 5 minutes. And now I've done my meditating for the day. Check that off my app. Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like the quietest mind ever, and 1 being like the noisiest mind ever. How was that for y'all?
35. Get under it unless
5,
8.
4, 8,
7.
8.
7, 3. Kristen?
Yeah.
Look at
I was
you. Awesome. I was probably noise level was probably like a 3. Yeah. What did y'all think about? If you want to share, anybody want to share? Work.
All I could think about was the dogs breathing behind me
The
and
dogs.
licking.
They're pretty active
There's
back
3
there. They're all
dogs behind me licking.
I see.
Yeah, and so it's like I kept trying to, but it was just not working.
Yeah.
Background noise.
I've been practicing centering prayer, which is a practice of silence, for years. So, in practice and in time, you'll find that, the question of what are you thinking, you can answer nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like it will come to just this quiet, sweet pool. And sometimes in that pool, you might have pictures or things that come to the surface that aren't even connected to words, but are answering something that you're not even asking. It's extremely powerful. Silence is.
Love that.
Yeah.
I've heard of a similar metaphor of like they're just clouds passing by. Like the thought will come and then it'll go.
Yeah.
Yeah, she said balloons.
I said
Balloons.
balloons passing.
That
I
was
like
actually one of my
balloons.
thoughts. I was like, okay, send my thoughts off with the balloons.
Like a
But I was
balloon.
like,
Just, you
how's
want to
the
notice
balloon
them
gonna
so they
fly?
go.
Like,
I like
Yeah.
the
No helium.
balloons too.
Right.
I don't know, a balloon flying away is stressful to me. Like,
Yeah.
oh, my balloon.
To me, it's
Yeah.
like noticing it because you want
Yeah.
to notice what comes up, and you
Yeah.
always notice a balloon.
For
But
sure.
you just let it go.
Yeah. I also thought about like what's coming next. Like, what do I need to get done? Like, it was like to-do list thoughts that kept popping up.
Mine were a lot of affirmations though. Like
Ooh.
when I'm supposed to be meditating, I'm usually saying affirmations because I don't know how
Yeah,
how to
that's
be
good.
silent, but I'm like I shift it. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna say affirmations because at least that's like
Yeah,
That's a good idea.
that's how I started. That's how you're supposed to meditate. You're doing great. You're doing right.
okay.
Good
Cool.
job.
Yeah. Yeah, I've
Yeah,
heard.
one of the beautiful things about meditation is not really silencing the mind, but just slowing your thoughts and then controlling your thoughts. And so I love what Kristen said about the affirmations because in such a busy world, it's really hard to be silent in the mind, but we can definitely slow our thoughts and control the thoughts that we entertain and the ones that we.
Yep, I agree.
In the beginning of the practice of silence, you'll start to notice, wow, I am able to change thoughts, or kind of, like you said, a cloud, just kind of let it pass without ruminating on things. And then in time, even that starts to drift farther away. There was a story about someone who was just learning this practice, and they had gone to the individual leading and said, I can't do this. I probably had lost track, and thoughts came to me probably 100 times in that amount of time. And the response was, how lucky for you to have 100 opportunities for the divine to welcome you.
Ooh,
And I just thought, wow, that was kind of a neat.
cool.
I just thought that was kind of it was completely without judgment, and it was, you are being welcomed again and again and again, and that's okay.
Thank you for sharing that. I like that a lot. I like also after the meditation practice, the quotes on the very last page of the section. It's 61 for me. All the quotes about I am. So for me, like if I'm gonna summarize this whole first section, it's about, being human, and there's all these different components to being a human. We've got the ego, and we've got the soul, or anyway, I'm just gonna read these quotes. Be still and know that I am. I am the self seated in the hearts of all creatures. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings. I am a spark from the infinite. I am not flesh and bones. I am light. And I just think it's so cool that all these different religions and all over the world, that I am kept coming up in all those different quotes. And I wonder if that's why I am affirmations are so common.
But it's also the root chakra.
Right.
That's associated to I am.
Yeah,
chakra.
roots I am.
I am seems like the divine within us.
Yeah, that's the self too. That's in the unto the soul. That would be the self, the divine, that connection between mind and body.
Yeah, and so on the themes of consciousness, which I know we didn't really get into yet.
Right.
I know we're going to talk more about it, but it sort of reminded me of another scale that we saw, the one at Danny's conference, and the top one was I am, I think, wasn't it? It was like, that's the most enlightened, or like the highest level you can be in consciousness is I am.
What chart was that?
So,
Did it have a name?
It does, I'll have to look it up.
Okay.
I can't remember offhand, but I took a picture of it, so I'll post it in the group. Yeah, so it's a similar
This the themes of consciousness chart, this one, the one at the beginning of the book, this one reminded me of the emotional spiral. Have y'all seen that image? Abraham Hicks emotional. I think it's Abraham Hicks that has the emotional spiral. Yeah.
Are you talking about the emotion wheel?
It's not a wheel, it's a spiral, and it's large at the top, and then it gets smaller, and then when it gets to the smallest point, it works itself up and starts to get big again. Let me see if I can pull it up.
Interesting.
Yeah, it looks a lot like that image and has super similar descriptions on it. Get me out. I'm stuck in the Walmart page. Hold on.
I know we used to do that on our, Melissa,
Yeah.
we used to do that on our team calls. And so you had to say where you were emotionally, and then we practiced with each other as to, here's where I am. How do you get here? Now, what would make you angry about that? And so it's you worked your way down the scale, or up the scale, to get to a better place and where your thoughts are before you do like maybe an income producing activity or something that you're going to make a phone call, or, to calm yourself down, depending on where you are on the emotional scale.
Yeah, I found it. I'm gonna put it in our group chat, saving photos. But yeah, it looks like this. There's white ones, there's black ones, but at the top of the spiral is joy, knowledge, empowerment, freedom, love, appreciation, and this one is freedom and happiness. The next one on here is passion, and then enthusiasm, and on here you've got love and inner peace. What else do we have here? Positive expectation, belief, optimism, hopefulness, contentment. So I'll put it in the group chat too, but this spiral really reminded me of this themes of consciousness chart on here. Did y'all have any point while you were reading where like something, like you had a resistance to it, or something that didn't make sense, or you wanted to kind of talk more about in this first section?
I want to learn more about the pleasure. They were talking about pleasure and how beyond pleasure is bliss.
Oh
And
yeah,
I
what
wanna
page was
understand
that?
more. I didn't mark it. Let me see if I can find it. There was like a quote about it, and then it also just talked about it a little bit.
I remember reading that too.
What was it? I want to learn more about that.
Does anybody have any input on that?
It's like the pleasure is like
chapter 3.
immediate, instant gratification. And then the bliss is like the long term.
That's kind of what it sounded like.
It's page 34 for me.
Yeah, so right at the beginning of chapter 3.
Well, in the yogi world, in the 8 limbs, we refer
Oh, wait.
to enlightenment as the bliss body. So I don't know if maybe that's what they're referring as bliss. It's just that ultimate enlightenment.
Yeah.
36.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, yeah.
But then it's like, I want to understand more about, because like pleasure is nice. So it's like, do you like not have pleasure, but then there's something beyond that? Like, do you not seek pleasure?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, I want to understand it more, like what they're trying to say with that.
I wonder if it means, like, kind of what Chelsea said, like foregoing that instant gratification more for like the long term
Yeah.
That's all I
bliss.
thought, like eating that cheeseburger instead of sticking with your salad if you're trying to maintain a healthy weight or something.
Or that long-term happiness of a healthy weight, you know.
Yeah. So it doesn't mean you can't have pleasure.
Right.
It just
We can
means
still have
It's like everything's good in moderation,
okay,
right?
that's what I'm
Yeah.
That's what she was worried about.
For me to get bliss.
That does have long-term benefits though too. So yeah.
There we go.
But we also learned about happy hormones today, and it said sex is number 1. Anyway.
Yeah,
But
it
yeah,
was
I
up there.
want to dive more into that.
Yeah, I think it's broader than sexual. It's
Yeah.
it's
Well, yes,
maybe
pleasure in
maybe a
all
different word for
forms.
pleasure would be comfort, right?
Mm.
Gravitating to
Ah.
comfort.
Yeah.
It gives you short-term satiation or satisfaction, but when you step out of comfort and move to the edge of what you're capable of, you can actually unlock more from life.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah, that makes more sense. That word.
I still am confused by that. Like when I read it, I was confused at that part too.
Yeah.
Because it's like anytime I have like tried to do something that I thought was what I needed to do, there's been resistance. And anytime I just focus on like what is really exciting to me and what is like very much pleasure filled and joyous, then that's what works. So I don't know.
Right.
And you know, the pleasure part wasn't even so much the triggering thing for me. It was more just like anytime I've sort of been like, well, I should do this or I need to do this, you know, or whatever, it's like it hasn't worked out. But if I just kind of, even just with like self-discipline stuff, it's like if I focus on loving myself and, you know, then I can stick with my habit that I want to instill versus like, I don't know. So
Yeah, good point. Yeah, I liked it's on page 37 for me. It has a whole list of like, by holding on to this or by feeling this, then we deny ourselves the opposite. So by holding on to past trauma, we deny ourselves healing. By feeling self-conscious, we deny our own self-worth. And it kind of like to the cheeseburger analogy, like by what we choose now, it might be denying what we truly want. Which takes a little more self-discipline, or like it says in here, the inner work. So I don't think we need to, it says, whichever aspects of your life you're not allowing yourself to experience joy, peace, patience, compassion. Because what a lot of people do is they're like, I'll relax when I'm retired, or I'll do this for myself when I reach this goal. And they kind of like put off what they want to feel to get to where they want to go. It says that is where your inner work lies, not because you need to be a better person or follow a set of commandments or adhere to some sort of moral code, but simply because it feels better to choose better. So if you want to live a life of true freedom and happiness, choosing better starts within. Yeah, it's a good thing to think about.
So to Kylan's point, then it's like also remembering that you know what's best for you. So even if someone tells you, oh, you shouldn't eat this, or you shouldn't do that, or you should do this, or you should do that, it's like listening to your inner compass too.
Yeah.
You know?
yeah, and just like not being religious about it is the other thing. Yeah. Like just doing what is best for you in that day. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
That reminds me of the four agreements, like do your best, and your best may not be the same today as it was yesterday, or may not be the same tomorrow as it is today.
Who's read the Four Agreements? I haven't read that one yet.
No. So good.
Oh my God, it's so good. Put that on the list.
Yeah.
It's good.
Add it to the book club list.
Yeah.
I have it. My husband has read that one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
yeah, I'm hosting a book club on that actually in early March with
Nice.
our host school co-op. Yeah, it's fantastic. When my dad passed away, I had a therapist through the hospice he was at, and she was this like really crass Jewish Italian lady from Brooklyn. And she was just like yelling at me, like, she's like, you need to read this book. I can't do a Jewish Italian accent. It was like the most insane accent. But yeah, she's like, read it. Don't schedule another appointment with me until you read this book. So it's a quick read. It's easy to read.
Thank you. I back to your point about like should I be doing this or should I be doing that, and like maybe even feeling like guilt or shame about what we should be doing. The very next part is about the ego. So I think it's a great introduction, like where you started about the pleasure, foregoing pleasure to actually get to where you want to go. We have to be really self-aware what wounds we're being attached to, or what our ego wants, what our higher self truly desires. It's all very contemplative. Like it's just a lot to think about, and it'll probably unravel as we go.
And going back to like the four agreements, they talk a lot about those past traumas attaching to you, and the agreements of your parents and such, and that's of course what they go into about this too.
Okay.
So it references that a lot, about those things that we grab onto and make us who we are, and we have no control over it, and that's peeling the layers, right? And stripping off those blankets. I think that's the metaphor they use, the kid with the blankets.
Oh yeah,
And
to
whether
protect himself.
To protect.
Yeah.
So
That was
we take
good.
off those agreements that are attached to us that we had no choice, And here we are as adults with all these blankets all over us.
Yep. I did a acupuncture session today, and she was like, your heart wall's up, and for good measure. She's like, you've been putting up that. I'm like, yep, had to. I was trying to find, never mind. No, that's not what I was looking for. All right, so we'll keep
You know
on.
what, towards
Go ahead. Do you say something?
I was just going to say towards the end, there was kind of a section that was talking about, you're not your mind, you're not your body. And I really had kind of a reaction to the you're not your body, because you have to almost sometimes keep yourself in a place of detachment without agenda, detachment with love, because sometimes society will try to define you in a place of you are your body, because that's what they see, what they're responding to, what they're reacting to, what they're making mention of. And it's almost like viewing things outside of yourself, when you can get to a place of just a softness with yourself, to view things at a distance. I think there are aspects of protection that are very spiritual, that there's ways to protect yourself that are the next right action, or a higher self protecting yourself from those things around you. You don't have to take it in, but that doesn't mean don't have an awareness of it. So I kind of sat with that for quite a bit, with the you're not your body.
Yeah, it's on page 59. The first place we might look to is the body. After all, we are these bodies, aren't we? And then it kind of goes back and forth, like, are we the body? Are we not the body? Yeah, it's something good. It's a good thing to think about. Is there anything else that you guys were like, whoa, that I want to talk about that more, or had resistance to before we move to the next section?
on that topic,
Mhm.
on page 28,
Mhm.
there's like a whole paragraph that's like, talks about what we are not, like that our thoughts are not us either. It's saying a Sanskrit mantra that's neti neti means not this.
Oh yeah.
And it says, I am not my past, I am not my trauma, I am not this fear, I am not this thought, I am not this guilt, I am not this doubt, I am not this story. But just because like we have a voice in our head, it doesn't mean that it's true, I guess is what it's saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in order to be reborn as your true self, which is free from rationalizations and excuses, and to accept the infinite peace we speak of, you must release attachment to the shadow identity and resistances your mind has constructed over your lifetime.
And I hope we talk more about releasing shadows and how to do that, because I need the how to.
Yes.
I'm sure it's
Yep.
coming.
It is coming. So section 2, I'm going to find the thing in here. Section 2 is liberation from the mind. Section 3 is liberation of consciousness. And then section 4 is a new paradigm. And I really, let me see if I can find exact pinpoint where it is. I think it's going to be chapter 8 where we start doing like the actual steps. So doing the moving through that chart of the, let me find it in here. So there's healing the wounded, which is chapter 9. That one will be really good for that, kind of like doing the shadow work, but it's the opposite, healing the wounded.
That's where you get to fill out the spectrums.
Yay, perfect. Is there a blank one in there?
There is.
Yes. So,
Cool.
yeah. So I like the first section because it was a lot of like laying the foundation, and I'm glad that none of us are like super brand new to meditating or practicing some kind of self-awareness. So we're off to a very strong start. So next week we'll read section 2, and then when we meet next week we'll talk about it. And if you guys have any insights throughout the week and you want to put it in the group chat, or something comes up while you're meditating or anything and you want to share in the group chat, it's a great place to do it too. Anybody have questions before we wrap up for the night? No? All right. Can we take a picture with our books?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you guys have your books? You can kind of hold it up in your square and I'll get that in the picture too. I'm gonna kind of do it like this. And zoom out.
What do we do?
Taking pictures.
They're gonna hold up their books and we're gonna hold up our books.
Like
Yes, like
okay.
this. Perfect. Yay! The inner work. Okay, great
Do
job.
you want the cover?
I got it on this part.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. I'll post the recording in the group too in case anybody needs to watch the replay or rewatch it. Good night, y'all.
Thanks, Melissa.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah.
Have a good
Oh,
night.
Good night.
Bye.
Sound bath will be on Facebook if anybody was gonna look for the sound bath. All right. Nighty-
Okay. Bye.